All right, what's up, everybody? This is Brian from Float Candy, one of the co-founders, and I'm here with Will, my other co-founder. And this is Why Brands Work. This is the first episode we're going to be recording for y'all, and it's on SKIMS, the massive brand started by famously Kim Kardashian, which I think a lot of people might underestimate in terms of what is actually important about this brand. They might just look at it as another influencer brand that has gotten overhyped and is just riding the coattails of somebody with a large following on social media to then become this big brand. But Will and I are going to go deeper today, really talk about why you should actually, pay attention to this brand, why there's maybe some stuff that you don't know that could actually help you grow your own business, what they're doing right, the stuff that they're really paying attention to, and how they're operating at just the next level. So Will, how's it going today? How you feeling?
Good, great, super excited to jump in. I thought you hit on it well. I think that to build on what you said, I think a lot of people underestimate them. They
100%.
think that this is just like this thing is totally about Kim Kardashian. And actually, the more you and I investigated, we realized, yes, she was important, and she still is an important piece of to the brand. But there's a lot of other things going on with this brand, and that makes this brand work.
Yeah, no, I mean, this brand is actually super cool. Like, there's a lot of really, really interesting stuff that they're doing. I think that they're really innovative in the space, which is something we'll talk about when we jump into the product and what they're selling and how that's gone. But yeah, it's been such a cool thing to research just in terms of like getting to know the brand a little bit better, jumping into the other Kardashian brands too. I think there's so much to learn from a lot of them. And then this kind of power couple that we'll talk about that are behind some of this other stuff as well. But as far as why brands work, let's talk about why should people even care? Like what's happening right now that is a reason for us to even pay attention to SKIMS. What's top of mind for you?
I think the biggest thing people should care about is it's worth $4 billion. So we could start there, or at least that's the value. That's what it's been valued at. So that is that's a big number for D2C business. Has been around for like 5 years.
4 or 5 years, something like that. Yeah, for sure. I think they did 750 million in revenue in 2023. Valuation of $40 billion right now. It's a massive business. And actually one thing I will say, this is not Kim's first attempt at a business. It's definitely the biggest that she's had so far. But obviously that's another reason to care about this. There's a lot of focus on this in the spotlight. It's in the spotlight quite a bit because of how prominent the Kim is. And then I think another reason to pay attention to this too is like they were just named the underwear or like undergarment partner for the NBA and the WNBA. That's a massive positioning thing to talk about. They're also already catapulting themselves into the ranks of other, like legacy clothing brands like Ralph Lauren and things like that, or Ralph Lauren, I guess is probably how you say it the right way. In terms of they did the, they were a clothing sponsor for Team USA for the Olympics. That's like a very coveted position in the fashion world to like design that stuff and be the designer for Team USA. And so they're quickly, like very, very fast. They also won awards recently. An innovative, design innovation award they won for their line. So there's a lot of stuff that is really showing that not just through social media and keeping up with Kardashians and the kind of surface level things that people think about, but really at the next level they are a true, really crushing it business. And so let's dive a little bit deeper and talk about why this is happening. So let's jump into the product first. What are you seeing about the product that really is standing out to you? What do you think is kind of the reason they're having so much success right now? Or is it what chord are they hitting right now that works?
Well, I think that there's a lot to unpack there. I think that from a product point of view, what sticks out to me the most is the market that they originally chose. I think you got to talk about the market and the product itself and how it's evolving. But just being in that shapewear market, I think was really huge to their success in getting started. That's a very massive, big market. A lot of people know about Spanx and That business alone is $1 billion business. But also this sort of market has been around. Even Spanx kind of like was a paradigm shift on what do we call it, like girls or foundational garments. This category has actually been around for a while. It wasn't just sort of
hundreds
started.
of years when you go back to like corsets, even in like the Victorian era.
Yeah. So I think it's the shapewear market is big, and sort of they were able to kind of come in and really find a gap in the market there initially when they launched. And I think that really stands out to me. Also, another thing that we could talk about too is how they've been able to position themselves as premium too. I think that the positioning and just the market selection, the table selection of where they went into. I mean, you talked about this wasn't Kim's first brand, but I think that this market they chose was very strategic and a big reason why they're successful too.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's huge. Another point I'll bring up is like they launched with I think 12 different skin tone aligned colors for all of their different products.
Yeah.
So inclusivity was a huge thing. They also have everything from like I think XXS, like extra small, all the way to 4X. So a lot of body positivity kind of like in their DNA here. Something I read that I thought was really interesting. Obviously, Kim has been a part of fashion for a long time. She does all of these different shows with, Gucci and all, we'll talk a little bit later about some of the partnerships that they have now through SKIMS. But Kim is obviously like through and through in the fashion world. And one thing that I saw she said is that this product in her eyes has been under development for 15 years. She says she's been working on this like on her own, kind of buying other shapewear and like cutting it to fit her the right way, or she would put it in her bathtub and fill her bathtub with tea to like get the right skin tone that she was looking for. So she's like home dyeing different clothes to try and better match her skin tone. She's cutting it to make it fit her a little bit better. So at the end of the day, when it comes to developing a product, that's what you really want, right? You want to be the customer of that product. You want to know it so well that you're innovating on it at home because you know what it's used for and how it's being used for. You have friends and family and people around you that are also using it, that you can hear their feedback on that kind of stuff. And so, I think that's one area that they really struck gold here, or not necessarily struck gold, but they found the gold that they already had and found a way to really optimize on that. You take what you know and start working on that and start improving it. I think that's where you end up being able to be super successful around a product, is if you actually have an idea of why you're doing what you're doing, instead of just going and doing a keyword search and trying to figure out what you can order off of Alibaba. Like this is as far away from that as I think they could get, which is probably why it's hitting better than some of her other, I'm sure she's an avid, uses a lot of makeup and fragrances and things like that. But, it seems like this is something that was really near and dear to her, which I think is showing in the product line.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I did not catch that. That's a really good point. I did a lot of research. I did not know she was actually cutting things up and using tea bags to actually match skin tones and stuff. And I think that was something, if you go back and read her tweets, like when she first initially started, when they first started sort of rolling this brand out, they were using that inclusivity angle as a huge sort of part of their launch.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. The inclusivity you're going to see kind of like throughout all of it, right? The skin tones, the sizes, they're moving into other, they're moving into a men's line and things like that as well, which, that also brings up another huge, not just positioning of the product, but advantage of the niche, right? So
yeah,
they are developing a brand that can eventually have as deep of a catalog as you can get. There's really no other type of store that you can have that can give you as many SKUs as an apparel company can, especially if you're opening up men and women, because they launched with shapewear and I think a couple other things. I think there was like maybe some swimwear in there in their initial launch as well, mostly around the shapewear stuff though, right?
They started with like bodysuits, underwear, leggings, like just traditional shapewear sort of stuff. and then, you know, that is obviously you can branch out into like women's apparel from there.
Mhm,
I think
mhm.
loungewear is really successful. And then,
Yeah,
you
they
know, where,
quickly did.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it was, you know, they caught the wave of COVID. Everyone's at home wearing pajamas all day long, and so that's when I think it's called Skims Cozy came out. They did the swimwear release, I think, for the summer after that. Yeah, there's it's just a very logical kind of move there when people are buying stuff to or you know in the mood to buy clothes, having all the different options of being able to kind of grab everything. They then did a launch for like what's it called, like a performance wear, you know. So they've just been, you know, over the last 4 or 5 years just gradually adding new lines and new lines and new lines and new lines, which has been huge because it's not only a way to draw in a new type of customer because maybe shapewear isn't for everyone or maybe swimwear or that kind of thing, but now you're opening yourself up to these different demographics that are looking for specific types of clothing. um, and one thing I thought was really funny was uh, Kim said in a different interview that, you know, I really knew that this product was hitting when I was at a party in Hollywood and a girl took off her top to show me that she was wearing Skims underneath it. Like,
oh
she,
wow, yeah,
yeah, so some
that's
girl
like
like came up
the
to her. I was like, look, I'm wearing Skims right now. You know,
wow. I did not see that either. Yeah, that's crazy. That's like true, sort of like the raving fan, sort of
ultimate raving fan. Yeah,
ultimate raving fans. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think another thing you brought up there around the deep catalog too would be the ability to also, I think that really has an impact on their lifetime value as well, probably, you know, and their average order value too. If you're able to like sort of cross sell this stuff, cross sell across all these different categories and now different sexes, um,
yeah,
it's like really quite remarkable.
totally. No, I agree. And you know, and then they did another line that wasn't exactly launching men's clothing, but they did like the, I think it's called like the boyfriend line or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was a line that was more of like a unisex version of some of the cozy or whatever, you know, the other um, kind of like side items that would work for both men and women. And that was kind of how they like soft launched some of the men's stuff before they fully did the men's launch in, I think it was
Yeah,
summer of last year, like 2023. So another great way to kind of test the product into that new niche. And yeah, it's been a really interesting, you know, that this is exactly where they want to be. You know, if you
yeah.
when you have the brand power like they do, you want to have a deep catalog where you can make this kind of a brand that is just going to continue to add lines. I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up being Skims dresses and Skims, if there isn't already, you know, like
Yeah, well,
Skims
there's like skim
Nike.
shoes or something like
Right.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably
yeah. I could see it becoming even formal wear or something at some point where it's like, oh, you know, the cocktail dress and that kind of thing. So it fits, you know, in my personal experience, you know, my partner, she loves like you know, it's kind of like this mix between like athleisure as well as stuff that you could kind of like wear out to dinner or something like that. And so it's a very, I think, clear path for them. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
yeah, and you know, like I think like where they're going right now though, mostly is the men's line. I mean, they're obviously keep building on this win, but this men's line is a huge push. And like when I started researching the men's line, I think this is when I really started to be like, oh, now I understand
Mhm.
how just talented and the opportunity this brand has. Because I think that this is like you can't. I mean, yes, Kim was a part of it. We kind of talked about that at the top of the show. How
Yeah,
Kim was a catalyst to launching the brand, but I think now you're seeing like really the mastery from the whole team here and really the product line as well. I don't know where we want to go from that, but I mean just like
yeah.
the way they launched the men's line, I was like, this is how it's done. This is like total. This is like a very solid job in executing and launching this.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect segue into talking about the team here and like
Mhm.
why this team is really working.
Yeah,
Um, you know, as you said, we kind of already talked about Kim. She's one of the biggest influencers in the world. has been for a long time. Her entire family.
300 million. Is that what we saw?
Yeah, I think something like that.
360. I forget where. Yeah, 364 million followers on Instagram.
Exactly. So, she's
Yeah.
got a platform built in on top of having been on, one of a reality TV show for, I don't know, it was like on for like a decade. It felt like
Yeah.
maybe even more. All of her family, all of her ex-husbands and boyfriends and everyone is extremely famous, and so they have this platform that already is it can be launched. I'm pretty sure Kanye was partially he was somewhat
rumored
all
to be like the ghost creative director when they first
right.
launched. You can kind of see it.
You can, yeah. And there's a key member of his creative team is actually like listed on some of this stuff as well, like somebody who worked on Yeezy and all that. I can't remember what their name was, but they were like a primary component in the early days of like designing the brand and the brand aesthetic. I think it's rumored that Kanye even like drew out the Skims logo at first or something like that, so like there's some deep, kind of involvement here of like that, say what you will about Kanye. There's a lot of divided, opinions on him, and I'm not here to say one way or another, but the guy has had a lot of success in this space, whether in music and in clothing and apparel and business in general. So there's some real powerhouses behind the creative aspect of it, and that's before we even get into the power couple of Jens and Emma. Let's give a little background to this first off. So Jens and Emma, married now. They met early on. I think Emma started working at Jens's agency. He I think co-founded an agency in London. He is Swedish. He co-founded an agency, and after
eventually they started a denim or like a company called Frame, right? Was that so? The agency was before he started.
Agency was before, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So they had an agency, and it was very steeped in like fashion. So it was a very like they did a lot of like big fashion type things. And that's actually where Emma came in, because she went to she dropped out of like the London Fashion Institute or something, one of the big London fashion schools, and ended up getting a job there as kind of like a partnership manager type thing, account executive, where you're kind of trying to secure brands to work with the agency and that kind of thing. And so that's where they initially met and worked together for a year or two before they ended up, kind of getting together. And at some point, Jens, I think, either left the agency or kind of like started a side gig, which is what you're talking about, Frame, the denim company. He was like, hey, we've been doing this for a bunch of other fashion houses and things like that. Why can't we do it ourselves? Like, why can't I do it? Which they did. They very much did it. I don't know, but do you know the numbers on Frame and what they
I mean, they're still around today, apparently. Like I was on their site and like I saw Giselle, I can't pronounce her last name, Tom Brady's, I guess, ex-wife now.
Ex-wife,
so I mean, they're obviously still like relevant, trying to be relevant, and I think I don't know the numbers, but I did find in 2016 they were doing 60 million pounds, British pounds. I think it's a British company actually. In revenue, which that's a lot of money back then. This was like early pre-Instagram. I mean, maybe like I don't know, like if you were doing 60 million in revenue in 2016, you were probably pretty big.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's interesting that you mentioned Giselle there, because they've really, this fast forwarding even to like today, Emma and Jens have catapulted themselves into being kind of this like influencer celebrity brand. Like they are the rainmakers for these huge people that want to start brands, because they now have their own agency that specializes in it. And the first kind of brand that they did was is it Chloe's brand? Courtney?
Good American. That was the first one. And I think
Right.
it was
Okay.
Emma who had probably had the relationship somehow, I don't know, with Kris
I think it was
Jenner
right through Chris. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and pitched her on the idea.
Mhm.
And that was a success.
Yeah.
A very successful store. I mean, still is a very successful brand. Um, but I think that, you know, that probably was, once they had that, like they probably just that was like the floodgates started opening after that. I mean,
Yeah.
that
No,
really was a
100%. I think they
yeah,
they found that inroad into the community, into,
yeah,
um, and now they're there, and they're now, the reason I mentioned the Giselle thing is their agency does Brady. They're running the
yeah,
Brady, a lot of their work as well, working directly with Tom Brady, and so
yeah,
it's obvious that they've angled for this and have made it a thing. Reading a profile on them, when just the two of them were being interviewed outside of like the Kardashians and stuff, one of the comments that the interviewer made, like as they were doing the photo shoot, is that they seem as comfortable like in front of the camera as a lot of the influencers that they work with. They're put together like to the nines, very wearing very expensive clothes. You can tell that they have definitely angled themselves into a particular market, because I couldn't imagine, I don't think you're going to show up to a meeting with Kim Kardashian wearing something you bought at Old Navy. So
yeah,
it's they're very much like steeped in that. They own, like they bought, I can't remember who it was, but they bought some famous person's like Bel Air mansion, $30 million mansion or
yeah.
whatever from some
They're a
movie
power
star or
couple.
whatever. Yeah.
They're a power couple, man. And it's like they both of them I can tell are just like very I don't know what the right word is. Like I wouldn't say like aggressive, but like they have like a very entrepreneurial, forward thinking,
Hmm.
um, and they really have the track record to back it up,
Yeah, they're
especially now.
hustlers. They're
Yeah, they're
hustlers.
hustlers. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I know it makes sense. Amazon Dragon's Den. I don't know if regularly, but
yeah,
she's like been on Dragon's Den. I think she's even been on Shark Tank as
she's
well,
been
like
on
the
Shark Tank
rest.
too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's cool to see. It's really she still is the chief product officer
yeah,
of Skims. Jens is the CEO, and
yeah,
Kim's role is also in product. I think I can't remember what
yeah,
her official title is either,
yeah,
but yeah, there you can tell that Jens is definitely the kind of like the operational mastermind, which
yeah,
makes sense. I think coming from an agency background, we both know just how much operations go into managing a gajillion
yeah,
clients at one time and to managing the team you need. So I'm sure on his side, especially coming from the frame background, he was able to leverage that into some of the really masterful work that we've seen come out of Skim so far, in terms of the marketing and the launches and the releases. There's
yeah.
a lot of work that goes into this stuff, and it really seems like he knows what he's doing.
He has to. I'm like I think that's one of the things. There's not a lot of research on it, but I couldn't really find a lot of data to back it up. So I'm definitely like making the assumption that this guy is a very, very strong operator.
Mhm.
And while I think that Emma and Kim, especially like with the it being initially like more of a women's, I think brand they were focused probably more on product and in marketing, which I think they're both good at. But like just having that background of already running an apparel company doing $60 million in turnover, because we've talked about this before. These apparel stores or apparel brands, they can be tricky to run in the sense that there's a lot of components involved, like
Mhm.
logistically. There's a lot of like pressure to come up with like, oh, this is our fall line, this is our spring line. So there's this constant like logistical, operational, budgeting, buying workflow going on in the background that has to be done. That a lot of people, if you're a customer of the brand, you have no idea is going on behind the scenes.
Right, right. No, I mean it's a ton of work. We've
Yeah,
talked about this before. It's like, if you're at the scale of doing $750 million a year, you better be you're planning how much inventory you're buying, a year in advance and that kind of thing. And so this is a very, very difficult thing to get right. This is where we've seen a lot of brands that we've worked with kind of hit a snag, right? It's like, oh, we don't have the inventory to support the scale that we were able to hit, or we're waiting for 3 months to be able to get this product out.
We bought too much inventory. I've heard this before too. For apparel stores, they bought too much inventory, and they're like they have no cash now,
and they're just sitting on it.
Yeah,
exactly. And so this is definitely a hard thing to get right. But it doesn't seem like sitting on too much inventory is a problem that SKIMS is having right now. They've been selling out pretty much every line that they come out with. Which I think this is probably a good segue into, let's talk about why their marketing is working, because there's a ton. Oh my God, there's so much stuff that they're doing right. Just to come back to it, we talked about it a little bit in the product, but I would be, it's my job to pull up the marketing fundamentals. That's always my thing, right? Is talking about the marketing fundamentals, and so we got to go back to this like intrinsic value of the inclusivity, right? They got so much right. And this is one of the things that I think so many brands miss early on, is like, oh, we're building this product because of this thing. Well, we're not, you don't build a product because of this thing or this idea. You build a product because of the problem that people are having. And they really, really solved a problem here. They have all of the sizes that you need. They have all of the skin tones that you need. And so that just intrinsically gives you so much value in the market. And that's at the end of the day, what we're all trying to do, right? Is create value. And so, they got that right, where they can start listing benefits out to their customer. They can really be driven in a way that is aligning with something that somebody feels. Somebody is like, I deeply feel that it sucks to not have shapewear that works for my skin tone, or that comes in the size that I'm looking for. And that's a really personal kind of thing, and so, and they were able to fill that gap. And so
that was the gap. That was the gap. Yeah. And I think that's a great point. And in general too, just shapewear solves a problem as well, so there's that. And then you add on to that point that there was this gap in the market. It's like those two things are really, really important. To come back to what you originally said, like, it's not just Kim Kardashian. She's had other businesses that, before this. So it's like, there are some foundational pieces, like this marketing fundamentals that you talked about. They were put in place, and Kim was just sort of a catalyst that came in. And then, obviously this power couple too behind it that we just talked about, was really big in scaling it. But it's really important that people know, like, that, like, you can't, there's no way to like hack it. You have to solve like problems, and you have to create value for your customers.
Okay. So they're creating value. Let's talk about, let's talk about what the star power of Kim actually does for a brand like SKIMS. So let's kind of jump into that. What's coming to mind for you?
Well, we talked about how many followers she had. And I think that she was a big part of the launch. I mean, she's still very much involved today, but like, she definitely was very valuable to the launch of the business. And it wasn't just her too. Like, all of her sisters were involved. You can go back and look on the SKIMS YouTube channel, and they literally had a video on not just a bunch of not a bunch, but a lot of like sort of influencers. And they kind of took that inclusivity, I can't speak, angle. And a lot of them were kind of vulnerable too. I don't know if you've watched some of those videos. It was like Kim did one, Chloe did one, Kylie, Courtney, I think there's the four of them, and Kendall. So all five of them had a video and like on YouTube, and I'm sure they dropped it on other channels, Snapchat. I know Kylie's got a big Snapchat following. And I think that like alone, I mean, what was it they rumored to sell out or do, like, I forget if it was the men's line or.
I think it was the very first drop. It was like 2 million in profit right or whatever. Yeah,
2 million in profit right away within the first hour.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes or something like that. Something ridiculous. Well, something that only somebody with 350 million followers can do on a drop like that. No, I think that's a huge point, is, the following just of the Kardashians is unreal.
Yeah.
You know, it's stupid how
Yeah.
much attention they can gather and get.
Right.
But you know, I think something else that's really interesting is, you know, one of their strategies that we've seen that is just constant. It's in every launch that they have, every other email or so, is that there is another A-list celebrity in every week. There's a different person endorsing
Yeah.
Skims that
Yeah.
is, you know, and often they're topical as well. You know, there's been you know, you have Patrick Mahomes during football season, right? And then you get Usher
Usher.
for the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. Yeah, you know, and
Yeah.
there's all of these people, and that's one of the other pulls of having Kim Kardashian, right? Because it's not like they're going after trying to figure this out. No, it's a text message. This is,
Yeah.
you know, Kim probably already having somebody's phone, you know, being able to reach out to so and so to get them in there, and it is insane the number of celebrities. Like you know, we pulled some emails that you and I went through
Yeah.
together, and we're looking at all the different people in there. And I think I counted like 15 celebrities, and that was just in the last like 3 or 4 months of emails. And I was like,
Yeah.
and we're going down to like 90s celebrities, like Carmen Electra is in an
Yeah.
email,
There's
you know,
Carmen
like
Electra one. Yeah.
you know, which is
Yeah.
insane, right?
I remember that.
And as
Yeah.
I did more research, there was another one. I don't think it was this past 2023. I think it was maybe 2022, but that was right when the new season of White Lotus dropped. And so the two Italian girls from White Lotus were in the Valentine's Day. You know, they're
Yeah.
just aligning with all of the pop culture, with all of the references, everything that's topical and working. They're not able to just follow that trend, but they're able to be a part of it and get the person that's actually
Yeah.
in the show or doing the thing or whatever. You know, oh, let's bring in Patrick Mahomes and his whole family
Yeah.
to wear Skim stuff on Christmas morning. You know, like
Right.
that's an insane amount of star power and
Yeah.
ability to pull and actually get somebody in to endorse and like be an influencer for you.
Yeah, my take on it is like with the influencers and the celebrities they pulled in is they're really good at staying relevant. Um, they've been able to like, you know, I think that's where like a lot of people just think this is all Kim, but like you said, we went and looked at all of their emails. Like we went
Yeah.
on mill.com and reviewed all their emails. I've been subscribed for months, and I think I saw like one or two emails. We're filming this in March. In February, we looked at it all. I saw only like one or two emails actually with Kim Kardashian in them right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about Usher. I mean, he was the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
That whole week, there was all this drops around Usher, and Usher was featured prominently in all of their emails. Patrick Mahomes. And it's just like, it's that relevance of being able to time sort of, you know, I didn't even know about that, what you shared about the White Lotus show.
Mm-hmm.
That just makes me think they're even more capable than I mean, it's one thing to like, okay, we're just going to go get the one big celebrity that we know is going to be relevant this month, but they're really niching down. You know?
No, it's so
Yeah.
true. There's one other example as well when they launched the men's line, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because like I only it really shows you because I only remember one of their names. I know there's two other guys. There's a guy that plays for I think the Chiefs. There's a guy, so he's NFL. There's I think it's a point guard for the Oklahoma. I don't. Now I'm not a basketball guy.
There's the point guard. There's Nick Bosa, or one of the Bosa brothers.
See, you know the Bosa. So this is exactly showing it, right? You know the Bosa brother. We both don't know the point guard, but the one that sticks out for me is Neymar because I'm a soccer guy.
Yeah.
And so we're, you know, it like they align with it, and all three of them are featured in the same launch of the underwear line. Okay, so they're hitting that's so strategic when you think about it from a marketing standpoint. There is a person from each sport because most people will be like, I'm more of a football guy, or I'm more of a soccer guy, or I'm more of a basketball guy, you know. And so they're angling to each of those different categories without even, you know, that had to be intentional. They're instead of just going 3 footballers or 3.
It was intentional. I saw that quote there was a quote in the Wall Street Journal, I think from Jens, the CEO. And this again was like, this guy is a genius. He was like, he said, if you really want to communicate with hundreds of thousands of men, because that's what they wanted to do when they launched this men's line, sports is the platform to do it, you know? And I mean, like we all know that. I know that, but it's like, wow, like it's the execution of it, I think, that is what
Yeah.
really sort of stands out here. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if you heard also when they launched the men's line that something like 10% of their traffic was coming from men. This was something that Jens also said
Mhm.
in that article, that they had
Mhm.
noticed. They were looking at the data and the numbers of it. I wonder why. Like you might
Right.
guess,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think that was interesting too.
No, I mean that's another great segue here. Like
Yeah,
something about the marketing for this that just really works is like it's a product and that is designed for social media.
yeah,
Just starting on the level of like, uh, the get ready with me type stuff, the like outfit. Where did you get that? There you see all these trends of like the Amazon dress or like whatever. There's all these things within the fashion world of just like people trending products themselves
right,
that are great that everyone buys and gets all the time and become viral, right? And so it's made for that in terms of the consumer itself. And then on the other side, the thing that you just can't avoid is like all of the emails and the ads and everything. It's just people in underwear. And like, that is
yeah,
in the world of Instagram and like the kind of hypersexualized, social media world that we like live in right now, that is just everywhere. Like that content does really well. It strikes the virality hook that you need, and so they're just getting a ton of views. And like you said, 10% of their traffic, even before they had a
yeah,
men's line, was coming from men. And so
yeah,
it was an obvious segue into just having a product for them once they got there as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so it's huge. I think that's a massive play. But the one thing, and this is the most impressive thing to me, you have all of these crazy celebrities, you have the insane operational like capabilities that they have for all of this stuff.
mhm,
You have the drops and the like constantly new lines that they're coming out with. Still above all of that, the most impressive thing to me and why I think they're crushing it with the marketing is the sheer volume of content that they are creating. Like it
yeah,
is absolutely insane, because think about it. If you're getting all of these celebrities, and we talked about doing 4 months worth of email reviews, right? Just look at four
yeah,
months of their emails and had 17 or whatever celebrities in it.
yeah,
That means there's a photo shoot for every single celebrity in there. So they're probably doing a photo shoot a week, if not more, on top of all of the, they obviously have to get product shots. They have to get model shots for the individual products and lifestyle and stuff like that outside of all of the influencer stuff that they're doing.
mhm,
And so this is another thing that, at the end of the day, the Kardashian empire is built on content, right? Some more explicit content started all of it, but there's content through and through in how the Kardashians do their thing, right? It's having a camera follow you around all the time, pictures, photo shoots, fashion shows, blah 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 blah, right? And they have brought that DNA into Skims, and I think that's why they're so successful right now. It's just like if you have stuff to talk about, people are gonna keep coming back.
yeah.
So you're
They're
totally capitalized on those customers you've already created.
they're a marketing machine. We saw it. 20 plus emails
Yeah,
a month. And that means in each they're having like celebrity drops, probably a couple celebrity drops a month. Um,
yeah,
and those need to get, like you said, planned out way in advance sometimes.
yeah, yeah,
And just like the sort of the capabilities, the workflow behind that. I mean, just securing those deals, and then the actual production quality, and then actually taking those photo shoots and those deals that you've signed with influencers and being able to propagate that into, you know, digital assets like email, advertising. Like they have
right,
I was looking at their ads. They have Cardi B in their ads.
right,
I think it was Cardi
right.
B, and then Usher in their ads. But he's also in their emails. He's also on their landing pages. So
Yeah,
like you said, like they are able to just get a lot of content and then really monetize it.
yeah. It's so true. It's true. All right. Well, we're coming up here on our 40-minute mark. And so let's try and let's get a top 3 from you, Will, on Skims. Why does this brand work? Out of all the stuff we've discussed, what are kind of the highlights for you in terms of what you think, really contributes to this brand working?
Yeah, I think that, for me, it's probably going to be they have a really good team. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's huge. And I've noticed this in a lot of other brands I've worked with that are successful. They tend to have like a couple people involved. The 4 sometimes I've seen, but certainly 2, you know, um, where it's like somebody's really good operationally behind the scenes, and then there's people
Mm-hmm.
that are really good at like product and market research and marketing and stuff like that. And I think that, they are a total A player team here,
Nice.
with
Okay.
Yins, Kim, and Emma. I also think that, if you were to follow their playbook, I guess they leveraged influencers to get initial traction, or they're really like, if you are a brand that wants to leverage influencers, like just copy what these guys are doing if you can. I don't know, like they have such a big network, it's hard, but they're really doing a good job of that. And I think another thing too, to me, the last one would be they they went into existing markets,
Mhm.
like they didn't try to like reinvent the wheel here. They went into shapewear. They saw a gap in the market. We talked about their men's line. They're also going into men's shapewear too, and that market is actually not like a slimming market. It's more of like a compression and athletic market, and it's similar material, but that's why they signed the deal with the NBA. So they're not really trying to recreate the market. They're trying to go into markets that already have a large size and then use, like what you kind of said, find the gap, with inclusivity or something else, and really leverage that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that leads straight into my first one, which is that,
Mm,
inclusivity, the really identifying of a problem.
yeah.
Actually, your product's got to be good. And this one is. It actually has to fill a need for somebody. And they crushed it with that. It just is it's too good. It's too close to people's hearts and their actual feelings to not resonate if you get all the other parts right. If you get the operational efficiency that you kind of mentioned in your first point, right? I think the second thing is the virality in kind of just being natural within the line as well. Like it's very
Mm,
easy for them to get organic TikTok impressions and things like that, just based on the type of product it is. And then lastly for me, which I've already said and still is my top, is just like the volume of content is crazy, because that's really what we need right now. People have to have, it's got to be fresh. You have to be putting out multiple things a day, basically if you want it to stay relevant. And so their ability to do that is just is insane. So yeah, any last things to add on Skims before we close this out?
yeah. Well, I mean, thanks for listening. This is our first episode. Hope you got a lot of value out of it. We'll be launching more, and it's not just the episode. We've done a full. We have a full breakdown of their entire funnel, emails as well. We did an audit on all their traffic and marketing channels as well. And yeah, if you want to go ahead and download all of that stuff in conjunction with this recording, you can just go to flowcandy.com/skims, and we'll have it for you there. And stay tuned for our next episode of Why Brands Work.
Yeah, and y'all, we are putting a lot of effort into these things. There is so much value in those resources. This is actually the second recording on Skims we did, because we did the first one, we didn't like it. We didn't think it was good
Yeah.
enough. So we're really putting a ton of effort into this stuff. So any feedback you have, any comments, we'd love to know. Feel free to email us or DM us on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and we're really happy to be putting this stuff together for you. And like Will said, there's a ton of resources in there. So go grab those. Let us know what more you want. And we're happy to do it. And also let us know what brands you want us to cover, because we're also happy to do that. So until next time, thank you. Again, my name is Brian, and this is Will from Flow Candy. We'll see you on the next Why Brands Work.
Later.